The Viking Age. The Vikings were a seafaring people who gained worldwide fame as merchants, explorers, and warriors, remaining active from the late 8th century to the early 11th century. They discovered the American continent long before Columbus and advanced as far east as the remote reaches of Russia, although they are often viewed as savage individuals who slaughtered and plundered more civilized nations for treasure and women. Viking culture and beliefs were quite diverse. Renowned for their prowess as warriors, these people also facilitated change in many fields, from economics to military affairs, in the lands they passed through. Many historians commonly associate the name Viking with the Old Norse term Viking, meaning pirate. However, in reality, this term, which refers to overseas expeditions, was used as a verb by Scandinavians for men who went on a Viking during the summers. While most believe these expeditions involve looting monasteries and cities along the coast, many were actually conducted for the purposes of trade and recruiting mercenaries. According to Angelo Fort, Richard D. Oram, and Frederick Pedersen, authors of the book Viking Empires, the Viking Age generally refers to the period extending from around 800 AD, a few years after the earliest recorded raid, to the 1050s, a few years before the Norman invasion of 1066. During this period, Scandinavians reached every corner of northern Europe, while many other nations found their shores plundered by Vikings. Records kept at the time show that Vikings were present in Baghdad for the trade of goods such as furs, animal tusks, and seal oil. The Viking raid on the monks of Lindis, a small island near the northeast coast of England, marked the beginning of the Viking migration from Scandinavia. In 793, the island housed a monastery regarded as a center of wisdom and learning, famous throughout the continent for its scholarly monks and extensive library. During the attack, monks were killed, thrown into the sea, or taken captive, along with many of the church's precious treasures, and the library was razed. This event became the foundation for the perception of Vikings in people's minds throughout the Viking Age. Savage warriors with respect for neither religion nor scholarship. In the years following the first raid, coastal villages, monasteries, and even cities found themselves besieged by these wild invaders who lived with one foot in the sea. Due to the frequency of naval attacks, many developments were made in fortifications that were turned into walled harbor ports. Such defenses were quite effective in deterring incoming attacks. Although frequently attributed to factors such as Christian persecutions and the forced baptism of pagans, as well as declining agricultural production in the Scandinavian region, the primary cause of the raids remains a subject of debate among academics. Many other reasons can be listed that pushed these people to leave their harsh and cold homelands to seek a life elsewhere. However, no matter how relentless their homeland was, most Vikings returned to their country at the end of each season with treasures, captives, and enough goods to survive another winter. Viking ships. At the heart of Viking culture undoubtedly lies the Viking ship. These extraordinary vessels, especially the Viking longships, shaped the lives of the Norse, who considered the sea their home, and changed the course of European history. The Norse skills in shipbuilding, which reached a level of perfection over 10 centuries, allowed for the development of a vast range of vessels, from small fishing boats and large-bellied cargo ships to longships as fast as lightning used in raids. Regardless of size, most ships were designed to be narrow with a shallow draft. The vertical distance between the bottom of the ship and the waterline, features that made the ships particularly compatible with oceans and rivers. The Vikings' mastery in shipbuilding reached its peak in the 7th century when they invented the keel, a structural element extending from the bow to the stern beneath the main hull. This feature increased speed and stability while preventing unwanted lateral movement. The keel, along with the addition of a mast and sail, allowed the Norse to make long voyages across the North Atlantic. Today, these vessels are seen as technological marvels that broke new ground with their designs. To begin the shipbuilding process, Vikings split the wood of freshly cut trees into small pieces. About 20 large oak trees could be felled for a single ship. The wood was shaped and carefully arranged in a lapstrake clinker construction so that the planks fit together perfectly. In lapstrake shipbuilding, the exterior is started first, and then the ribs are fitted. The ship was coated with a waterproof mixture of animal hair, wool, or moss dipped in tar and stabilized with iron rivets. As a result, the incredibly fast and flexible Viking longship emerged, which nothing could easily catch. Thus, the Vikings crossed the seas in ships pulled by determined rowers. Supported by large sails, likely made of cotton, Viking longships were steered by a tail located at the stern of the ship rather than a rudder. By the mid-9th century, Norse villages and societies came together to build ships with the aim of increasing their wealth through looting. In 842, Vikings brutally attacked Nonsus on the west coast of France, and thanks to their ability to move easily on rivers with their ships, they were able to advance as far inland as Paris, Limoges, Orleans, Tours, and Nîmes. Vikings valued art as much as they did seamanship. The bows of Viking longships were adorned with carved dragon heads, believed to ward off evil spirits. The large, square, red-striped sail featuring a dragon motif was known as the signature of the Vikings. This sail struck fear into the hearts of Europeans for 3 centuries. New World discoveries throughout the 10th century. Vikings established colonies on the west coast of Greenland. Viking sagas tell of the voyages they made from their colonies in Greenland to the New World. These sagas mention places named Helluland, thought to be Baffin Island, Markland, thought to be Borada, and a secret place called Vinland, which some archaeologists believe to be Newfoundland. Today, the only confirmed Viking settlement in the New World is Meadows, located at the northern tip of Newfoundland. This site was excavated in the 1960s. In addition, there are 3 other potential Viking settlements recently discovered by archaeologists in Canada. 2 of these potential settlements are in Newfoundland, and the other is on Baffin Island within the Canadian Arctic archipelago. One of the potential Viking settlements in Newfoundland is located at Point Rosie in southern Newfoundland. Archaeologists there came across a bog iron hearth standing next to a structure made of peat. In another settlement in Newfoundland, a series of pit traps that may have been used to hunt large animals like reindeer was discovered. These pit traps were dug in a straight line. Archaeologists believe the Vikings channeled the animals into these pits where they would fall and be killed. The third potential Viking settlement is at Nanook on Baffin Island, where researchers found objects that may have been used in metal production and the remains of a structure likely built by Vikings. Viking myths. Many modern perceptions of Vikings have their roots in Catholic propaganda. Following the looting of Christian settlements and the loss of countless relics and treasures, the Catholic leadership found the solution in demonizing the Vikings. Until Queen Victoria took the throne in Britain, Vikings were portrayed in minds as savage and barbaric individuals. During the 19th and 20th centuries, the perception shifted so much that Vikings were made intriguing as noble warriors with horned helmets, known for their glorious culture and their bravery. That struck fear into the enemy on the battlefield. Below are common Viking myths resulting from the misunderstandings mentioned above, which have been proven clearly false according to historical records. Vikings wore horned helmets. Vikings traditionally did not use headgear or wore simple helmets made of leather and metal, sometimes with a face guard. The idea of horned helmets dates back to the Viking revival of the Victorian era. Their hair and beards were messy. They were dirty. Archaeologists regularly find combs, spoons, and other personal grooming tools indicating that Vikings were fastidious about their personal hygiene. They spent all their time looting and fighting, while raiding provided an important source of income for Vikings. Many had farms that their wives looked after during the Viking season. When the men returned from their raids, they took back the farm work they had briefly left to their wives. Vikings all lived together due to unfavorable geography. Scandinavians were quite spread out to preserve limited arable land. In addition to the harshness of climate and soil conditions, the spread of Christianity also led to a significant division among these people, some of whom still worshipped the traditional Scandinavian pantheon. They were large and muscular. Because the summer season was short, it was difficult to plant crops and grow produce, and resources were always limited. As a result of limited food sources, many Scandinavians were much smaller than commonly thought. The harsh living conditions in the Scandinavian region had made its people harsh. Many Vikings suffered from a scarcity of resources and established their homes at great distances without a unified leadership. Throughout the Viking Age, Scandinavians exerted a stronger pressure on the outside world and earned themselves a reputation that transcended barbarism. While some Vikings were lured by the attraction of wealth, many preferred to establish more peaceful economic relations with surrounding nations. In reality, the Viking Age did not have a dramatic end. The Scandinavian kingdoms became culturally assimilated and were gradually incorporated into the broader political entity of European Christianity.